My marriage faded at exactly 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, destroyed by a single text message and my best friend's uncomfortable silence on the other end of the phone. "Jake, man, I really think you need to come down to Murphy's tonight," Tyler said, his voice carrying that particular tone people use when they're about to ruin your life. "There's something you need to see." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I was sitting in my apartment, still wearing the same graphic design clothes I'd had on for 12 hours, nursing a beer and wondering why my wife Emily hadn't come home yet. Again. Her text from 2 hours earlier sat on my phone like a small digital bomb. "Working late with Brandon on the Morrison account. Don't wait up." Brandon Hunt, her boss, the married 40-year-old marketing director with the expensive suits and the kind of smile that made me want to check my wallet after shaking his hand. "What kind of something?" I asked Tyler, though part of me already knew. That sick, twisted part of your brain that starts connecting dots you don't want connected. The kind you can't unsee, brother. "I'm sorry." 20 minutes later, I was standing in the back room of Murphy's restaurant, staring at Tyler's phone screen while my world collapsed in high definition. The photos were crystal clear, taken through the restaurant's front window. Emily, my wife of 7 years, sitting across from Brandon in what was definitely not a business dinner. Her hand was on his wrist. His thumb was stroking her knuckles. They were leaning toward each other like teenagers on a first date. But it was the look on her face that eliminated me. Pure happiness. The kind of expression I hadn't seen directed at me in months. "There are more," Tyler said quietly. "From last week, and the week before that." I scrolled through them in silence. Emily laughing at something Brandon said. Emily touching his shoulder. Emily kissing him in the parking lot next to his BMW. "How long have you known?" I asked. "I started noticing them about 3 weeks ago. I kept hoping I was wrong, that maybe it was just business dinners that looked bad from the outside. But tonight..." Tyler shrugged helplessly. "Tonight she was wearing that red dress. The one she wore to your anniversary dinner last year." The red dress. The one she'd claimed was at the dry cleaners when I'd suggested dinner out last weekend. I handed the phone back to Tyler and walked outside into the October air. My hands were shaking, but not from cold, from rage. Pure, crystalline rage that started in my chest and spread outward until my fingertips tingled with it. Emily's car wasn't in our driveway when I got home. I sat in the kitchen, staring at her coffee mug from this morning, still sitting in the sink. She'd kissed my cheek before leaving for work, the same perfunctory peck she'd given me every morning for the past 6 months. Had she been thinking about him even then? My phone buzzed, a text from Emily. "Meeting running really late. Probably won't be home until after midnight. Love you." Love you. 2 words that now felt like a slap across the face. I opened my laptop and started typing. If Emily wanted to play games, I was about to become a very dedicated player. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I did what any rational graphic designer would do when his world imploded. I made a presentation. By 6 a.m., I had a timeline. Emily's late nights, cross-referenced with Tyler's photos. Her sudden interest in new clothes and expensive perfume. The way she'd started keeping her phone face down during dinner. The mysterious client meetings that never seemed to involve actual clients. The evidence was overwhelming, and I was just getting started. Emily came home at 12:47 a.m., slipping into bed like she was trying not to wake me. I lay there listening to her breathe, wondering how long she'd been lying to my face. When her breathing became deep and regular, I carefully took her phone from the nightstand. She'd changed her passcode. Of course she had. But Emily had always been predictable. I tried Brandon's birthday. I'd looked him up on the company website months ago during one of her first late meetings. The phone unlocked immediately. What I found made my stomach turn. Months of messages, intimate photos, Plans for weekend getaways I'd been told were work conferences, and worst of all, conversations about me. Jake's been so distant lately, she'd written. I don't think he even notices when I'm not there. Brandon's response: his loss is my gain. You deserve someone who appreciates you. I screenshot everything, sent the files to my email, then carefully placed her phone back on the nightstand. Emily stirred slightly but didn't wake up. The next morning, she acted like nothing had changed, made coffee, kissed my cheek, complained about her busy day ahead. I might be late again tonight, she said, not quite meeting my eyes. Big presentation tomorrow. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. Don't work too hard. After she left, I called in sick to work and drove to Tyler's apartment. He took one look at my face and poured 2 cups of coffee without asking. You look like hell, he said. I found their text messages. Tyler, this has been going on for 4 months. 4 months of lies every single day. I showed him the screenshots on my laptop. Tyler's expression grew darker with each message. Jesus, Jake, I'm so sorry, man. Don't be sorry. Be helpful. I need to know everything about Brandon Hunt, where he lives, where he goes, what his wife's name is. Tyler raised an eyebrow. His wife? Oh yes, Marissa Hunt, married 15 years, 2 kids. I found their family photos on his Facebook page. Apparently, Brandon's been living a double life too. What are you planning? I closed the laptop and looked at my best friend since college. I'm planning to give them both exactly what they deserve, but I'm going to need help. Tyler grinned for the first time since this whole mess started. What do you need? First, I need you to keep taking pictures when they're at the restaurant. Document everything, times, dates, how long they stay. Second, I need you to help me figure out where Brandon lives. That's easy enough. What else? I need to know everything about their schedules. When Emily thinks she's being clever, when Brandon thinks he's being sneaky. I want to know their patterns better than they do. Tyler nodded slowly. You're really going to blow this up, aren't you? Tyler, my friend, I'm not just going to blow this up. I'm going to turn it into a nuclear crater that'll be visible from space. That afternoon, I drove past Brandon's house in the suburbs. Big, colonial, perfectly manicured lawn, BMW in the driveway next to a silver Mercedes that probably belonged to his wife. 2 kids' bicycles on the front porch. I took photos of everything. By evening, I had a complete dossier on Brandon Hunt. His home address, his wife's name and workplace, his kids' schools, his gym, his favorite coffee shop. If Emily wanted to play spy games, I was about to show her how it was really done. When Emily came home that night, at 11:30, claiming another late meeting, I was ready. How was your meeting? I asked when Emily slipped into bed. Exhausting. Brandon's such a perfectionist. We went over the Morrison presentation about 50 times. I bet you did, I thought, but said, sounds frustrating. It was, but I think we finally got it right. She turned over, ending the conversation. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, and planned her destruction. The next morning, I put phase 1 into motion. I'd taken the day off work, telling my boss Marcia I had a family emergency. It wasn't technically a lie. My family was definitely having an emergency. Emily just didn't know it yet. First stop, a print shop across town where nobody knew me. I printed every screenshot, every photo Tyler had taken, every piece of evidence I'd collected. High quality, full color, impossible to deny. Second stop, Brandon's office building. I spent 2 hours in the parking garage, learning the layout, timing the security guards, figuring out the best approach routes. Third stop, a meeting with Chris Martinez, a guy I'd gone to college with who now worked in IT security. Chris owed me a favor from when I'd designed his wedding invitations for free. I need some technical help, I told him over lunch. What kind of technical help? Chris asked, though his grin suggested he already knew this wasn't going to be strictly legal. The kind that might get you in trouble if anyone found out you helped. My favorite kind. What's the situation? I explained everything. Chris listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or wincing at particularly brutal details. "So you want to what, exactly?" he asked when I finished. "I want to make sure that when this all comes out, it comes out everywhere at once. I want it to be impossible for either of them to control the narrative or do damage control." Chris leaned back in his chair. "That's diabolical, Jake. I like it. What do you need? Can you help me set up anonymous email accounts? Untraceable ones? Easy. And can you help me figure out how to send messages that'll arrive at specific times, even if I'm not at a computer? Also easy. Anything else?" I slid a piece of paper across the table with a list of email addresses I'd collected. Emily's co-workers, her parents, her sister, Brandon's wife, Brandon's boss. I want to send the same package of information to all of these people at exactly the same time. I want it to hit like a coordinated strike. Chris whistled low. "You're not messing around." "They've been lying to me for 4 months, Chris. Every morning, every evening, every time she kisses me goodbye and goes to meet him. I'm done messing around." "When do you want to pull the trigger?" I thought about it. Emily had mentioned another late meeting tomorrow night. Tyler had confirmed they'd made reservations at Murphy's again. Friday morning, 9 a.m. sharp, right when everyone's getting to work and checking their email. Consider it done. That evening, Emily came home on time for once. She seemed nervous, jumpy, checking her phone more often than usual. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Fine, just work stress." She made dinner while I pretended to work on my laptop, actually putting the finishing touches on what I'd started calling the package. Photos, screenshots, a timeline, even a brief summary written in my best professional tone. "I thought you should know that Emily Harper and Brandon Hunt have been having an affair for the past 4 months. Here is the evidence. Simple, direct, devastating." "Jake?" Emily's voice interrupted my thoughts. "Yeah? I love you. You know that, right?" I looked up at my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, as she stood in the kitchen doorway. She looked genuinely worried, almost scared. Maybe her conscience was finally kicking in. "Of course I know that," I said. "I love you too." It wasn't entirely a lie. I did love her. I loved the woman I'd married 7 years ago, the woman who used to laugh at my jokes and fall asleep holding my hand. I just wasn't sure that woman existed anymore. Emily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Good. I just wanted to make sure." She went back to cooking, and I went back to planning her destruction. Tomorrow night, Tyler would take more photos. Friday morning, the bombs would drop. And by Friday afternoon, everyone would know exactly who Emily Harper really was. I could hardly wait. Thursday dragged by like a final march. Every hour felt like 10. Every conversation with Emily felt like walking through a minefield. She was acting stranger than usual, more affectionate, more attentive, like she was trying to compensate for something. "I was thinking," she said over breakfast, "maybe we should plan a weekend getaway soon, just the two of us." The irony was suffocating. "That sounds nice. Where were you thinking?" "Maybe that bed and breakfast in Vermont you mentioned last year, the one with the hiking trails." I'd mentioned that place exactly once, 14 months ago. The fact that she remembered it now, when she was actively cheating on me, felt like another knife twist. "Sure," I said. "Let's look at dates this weekend." There wouldn't be a weekend. By Saturday, Emily would be scrambling to explain herself to her parents, her sister, her co-workers, and anyone else who'd received my little care package. At work, I could barely concentrate. Marcia noticed. "You've been distracted all week," she said, stopping by my desk. "Everything all right at home?" Marcia had been my boss for 3 years. She was 50-something, divorced, with the kind of no-nonsense attitude that came from surviving her own relationship disasters. If anyone would understand what I was going through, it was her. "Actually, no," I said. "Emily's been cheating on me." Marcia's expression shifted from concern to anger in about half a second. That little... She caught herself. How do you know? I told her everything. The photos, the text messages, the lies. Marcia listened with the intensity of someone who'd been through similar battles. What are you going to do? She asked when I finished. Something that'll make sure she never lies to anyone again. Good, Marcia said firmly. And Jake? Take Monday off if you need it. Something tells me you're going to have a busy weekend. That evening, Emily got dressed for her late meeting with unusual care. She spent an hour on her makeup, changed outfits twice, and sprayed on enough perfume to choke a horse. Big presentation tomorrow? I asked innocently. The biggest. This could make or break the Morrison account. She kissed me goodbye, and I tasted her lip gloss. The expensive kind she'd started wearing recently. For Brandon. Good luck, I said. I'll be thinking about you. Thanks, baby. Don't wait up. After she left, I called Tyler. They're on their way. I'm ready. Chris set up everything? Everything's locked and loaded. Tomorrow morning at 9, about 50 people are going to get a very interesting email. Including Brandon's wife? Especially Brandon's wife. Tyler chuckled. This is going to be epic. I spent the evening double-checking everything. The email accounts Chris had set up were untraceable. The photos were clear and damning. The recipient list was comprehensive. Everyone who mattered in both Emily's and Brandon's lives. At 11:30, I heard Emily's car in the driveway. She came in quietly, probably thinking I was asleep. I listened to her shower, washing off Brandon's cologne, no doubt, and slip into bed beside me. How did it go? I whispered. Really well. I think Brandon was impressed with my ideas. I bet he was. That's great, honey. I'm proud of you. She curled up against me, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for what was about to happen to her. Almost. Then I remembered 4 months of lies, 4 months of late meetings, and secret phone calls and elaborate deceptions, and the sympathy evaporated. Emily Harper was about to learn that actions have consequences. And Brandon Hunt was about to discover that married men who prey on other married women sometimes pick the wrong target. I woke up at 6 a.m. on Friday morning with the kind of nervous energy usually reserved for job interviews or first dates. Today was the day Emily's world exploded, and I had front row seats. Emily was still sleeping, her arm draped across my chest like nothing had changed. In a few hours, her phone would start ringing with calls from her parents, her sister, her co-workers, people who'd received photographic evidence of her affair, complete with timestamps and locations. I slipped out of bed carefully and made coffee. At exactly 9 a.m., I opened my laptop and watched the scheduled emails deploy. 53 messages sent simultaneously to everyone who mattered in Emily's and Brandon's lives. The subject line was simple. Something you should know about Emily Harper and Brandon Hunt. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Holy shit, Jake, it's done. Another text from Chris. All emails delivered successfully. No bounce backs. You're officially a digital terrorist. I was sipping my coffee when Emily's phone started ringing. She stumbled out of the bedroom, hair messy, squinting at the caller ID. It's my mom. Why is she calling so early? Maybe you should answer it, I suggested. Emily picked up the phone. Hi, Mom. What's... Her face went white. What? What are you talking about? I watched my wife's world collapse in real time. It was more satisfying than I'd expected. Mom, I can explain. It's not what it looks like. Emily glanced at me, panic creeping into her voice. Someone must have... This is some kind of mistake. Her phone buzzed with another call, then another. Text messages started pouring in. I have to go, Emily told her mother. I'll call you back. She hung up and stared at her phone like it was a poisonous snake. Jake, something's happened. Someone sent photos to my parents. Photos of me and Brandon. What kind of photos? I asked innocently. Photos that make it look like we're... She trailed off, finally realizing how this must sound. Jake, I can explain. I'm sure you can. You've gotten very good at explaining things lately. Emily's phone rang again. This time it was her sister, then her coworker Lisa, then her boss. I need to... Jake, we need to talk. Now you want to talk. Interesting timing. Emily stared at me, and I watched the exact moment she realized I knew everything. The panic in her eyes shifted to something that might have been fear. How long have you known? She whispered. 4 months. I've known for 4 months, Emily. Every lie, every fake meeting, every time you came home smelling like his cologne. Her phone rang again. Brandon's name flashed on the screen. You might want to take that, I said. I have a feeling he's having a similar morning. Emily answered the call. Brandon, what's happening? I could hear his voice through the phone, high-pitched and panicked. Someone sent photos to Marissa, to my kids' schools, to my boss. Emily, we're messed up. Jake knows, Emily said quietly. Jake sent them. There was silence on the other end of the line. Then, that bastard, I'll eliminate him. I took the phone from Emily's hand. Hi, Brandon. Jake here. Just wanted to let you know that threatening to eliminate someone is a felony. But don't worry. I recorded this call, so if anything happens to me, the police will know exactly where to look. I hung up and handed the phone back to Emily, who was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. Who are you? She whispered. I'm the husband you've been cheating on for 4 months. I'm the man who trusted you completely while you lied to my face every single day. I'm the guy who's been sleeping next to you every night while you planned your next rendezvous with your married boss. Emily started crying. Jake, please, I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. 4 months isn't a mistake, Emily. It's a choice you made every single day. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Dude, turn on Channel 7. Brandon's company is doing damage control. This is bigger than we thought. I turned on the TV. Sure enough, there was a breaking news banner. Local marketing executive under investigation following affair allegations. Emily saw it too. Oh my God. Jake, what have you done? I've told the truth. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. The news report continued. Apparently, Brandon's wife had taken the evidence I'd provided and gone straight to his company's board of directors. Questions were being raised about his expense accounts, his business trips, whether company resources had been used to facilitate the affair. Emily's phone rang again. Her boss, this time. I have to take this, she said, but I could see her hands shaking. Emily, this is David. I need you in my office immediately. We have a situation. After she hung up, Emily looked at me with something that might have been hatred. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my career. You destroyed your career the moment you decided to sleep with your married boss. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Emily went to get dressed, her movements sharp and angry. When she came back, she was wearing her professional armor, the navy suit she wore to important meetings, her hair pulled back severely, her makeup perfect despite the tears. This isn't over, she said. Yes, it is. Pack your things, Emily. I'm changing the locks today. She stared at me for a long moment. 7 years of marriage? And this is how it ends? No, I said quietly. This is how it ended 4 months ago, when you decided Brandon Hunt was more important than your husband. Today is just when you found out there are consequences. After Emily left for what I assumed would be a very unpleasant meeting with her boss, I called a locksmith. Then I called a lawyer. Then I called Tyler. How are you feeling? He asked. Like I just performed surgery on my own life. Painful but necessary. Any regrets? I thought about it. Emily and I had been happy once. We'd had plans, dreams, a future together, but that future had faded the moment she chose to betray everything we'd built. No regrets, I said. Just relief that it's finally over. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Brandon Hunt still thought he could threaten me, still thought he could intimidate his way out of the consequences of his actions. He was about to learn otherwise. By noon, the story had exploded across social media. Someone, probably one of Brandon's co-workers, had leaked the photos online. Brandon Hunt was trending locally, and not in a good way. I was at Tyler's apartment, watching the chaos unfold from a safe distance, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Jake Harper? This is Marissa Hunt, Brandon's wife. I'd been expecting this call. Mrs. Hunt, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Don't be sorry, be proud. You did what I couldn't do. You exposed him for what he really is. Her voice was cold, controlled fury. I want to meet with you. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not asking. I'm at Murphy's restaurant, the same place where your wife and my husband have been playing house for 4 months. I think it's time we had a conversation. She hung up before I could respond. Tyler looked up from his laptop. That sounded ominous. Brandon's wife wants to meet. Are you going? I thought about it. Marissa Hunt had every right to be angry, and she deserved answers. More than that, she deserved justice. Yeah, I'm going. Murphy's was nearly empty when I arrived. Marissa Hunt was sitting in a corner booth, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine spread. Perfectly styled blonde hair, expensive clothes, the kind of poise that comes from years of practice. She was also holding a manila folder thick with documents. Mr. Harper, she said as I sat down. Thank you for coming. Mrs. Hunt. Again, I'm sorry about... She held up a hand. Don't apologize. You did me a favor. I've suspected Brandon was cheating for months, but I could never prove it. Your evidence gave me everything I needed. She opened the folder and spread documents across the table. Bank statements, credit card bills, travel receipts. Do you know what I found when I started digging? She asked. Brandon's been using company money to fund his affair, expensive dinners charged to the marketing budget, hotel rooms in cities where the company doesn't have clients, even jewelry purchases written off as business gifts. I stared at the evidence. Jesus. It gets better. I took all of this to his company's board of directors this morning. Brandon Hunt is about to be fired for embezzlement and fraud. His career is over. What about Emily? Your wife? She's already been terminated. Apparently, sleeping with your boss violates several company policies. Marissa's smile was sharp as a blade. But that's not why I wanted to meet with you. She pulled out another document. I want to hire you. Hire me? For what? Graphic design. I'm starting my own marketing company, and I need someone who understands the importance of truth in advertising. Her eyes glittered with malicious humor. I figure anyone who can orchestrate this kind of comprehensive destruction probably has excellent project management skills. I couldn't help but laugh. You want to hire me to spite your husband? I want to hire you because you're good at what you do, and because you understand that actions have consequences. The spite is just a bonus. We shook hands across the table, sealing what was probably the strangest business partnership in marketing history. There's one more thing, Marissa said as we prepared to leave. Brandon's been calling me all morning, begging for forgiveness, promising to change. He wants to meet tonight to work things out. Are you going to meet him? Oh yes, but not alone. I think it's time Brandon Hunt faced both of his victims at the same time. That evening, I found myself in the parking lot of a hotel across town, waiting for Brandon to arrive. Marissa had arranged the meeting, telling Brandon she wanted to discuss their marriage privately. What Brandon didn't know was that I would be there too, along with Tyler and Chris, who'd insisted on coming for moral support and documentation purposes. Brandon's BMW pulled into the parking lot at exactly 8 p.m. He looked like hell, rumpled clothes, unshaven, the kind of desperate panic that comes from watching your life disintegrate in real time. He walked into the hotel lobby, and we followed at a distance. Marissa was waiting in the restaurant, sitting at a table for 4. Brandon saw her first, then noticed the extra chairs. Marissa, what's... That's when he saw me. You, he snarled, loud enough to turn heads throughout the restaurant. You destroyed everything. I didn't destroy anything, I said calmly. I just made sure everyone could see what you'd already destroyed. Brandon lunged toward me, but Tyler stepped between us. Easy there, champ. We're in public. Sit down, Brandon, Marissa said coldly. We need to talk. For the next hour, Brandon Hunt got a masterclass in consequences. Marissa laid out the evidence of his embezzlement, his lies, his betrayal of both his family and his company. I provided the timeline of his affair with Emily, complete with photos and text messages. Brandon tried to deny everything, then minimize it, then blame everyone but himself. Classic narcissist behavior. You don't understand, he kept saying. Emily came on to me. I was trying to be professional, but she was persistent. I pulled out my phone and played one of the voice messages he'd left Emily. His voice, unmistakably, making plans for a weekend getaway. I can't wait to get you alone, baby. I've booked us the presidential suite. Brandon's face went white. How did you? Emily wasn't the only one who forgot to change her passwords, I said. Your company email was surprisingly easy to access. Did you know you sent over 300 personal messages to my wife using company servers? That's going to look great in court. The meeting ended with Brandon begging both of us for forgiveness, promising to do anything to make things right. Marissa's response was swift and final. Brandon, I want a divorce. I want full custody of the children. I want the house, half of your retirement accounts, and I want you to disappear from our lives forever. And I want you to stay away from Emily, I added. She's not your problem anymore. She's not anyone's problem anymore. Brandon left the restaurant a broken man. His marriage was over, his career was finished, his reputation was destroyed. Everything he'd built over 15 years, gone in a single day. As we walked to our cars, Marissa turned to me. Do you feel better now? I thought about it. Emily was gone, probably staying with her sister, trying to figure out how to rebuild her life. Brandon was ruined, facing potential criminal charges and definite financial ruin. Their affair was public knowledge, a cautionary tale that would follow both of them for years. Yeah, I said, I feel better. But there was still one more thing I needed to do. Emily came back to the apartment on Sunday morning while I was packing her belongings. I'd changed the locks, but she still had her key to the building. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, her hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes she'd had on Friday morning. The weekend had not been kind to her. Jake, we need to talk. No, we don't. Your things are in boxes by the door. Take them and go. Please, just 5 minutes. I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no love. Just emptiness where 7 years of marriage used to be. 5 minutes, I said. Emily sat on the couch we'd bought together 3 years ago. I know you hate me. I don't hate you, Emily. I don't feel anything for you at all. She flinched like I'd slapped her. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. How was it supposed to happen? You were going to cheat on me forever? Eventually leave me for Brandon? What was the plan? I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. For 4 months? You weren't thinking clearly for 4 months? Emily started crying again. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Every day, for 4 months, you chose to lie to me. You chose to betray our marriage. You chose Brandon Hunt over your husband. I never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me. And you didn't care, because if you'd cared, you would have stopped. Emily wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now you take your things and leave. I'll file for divorce tomorrow morning. We'll split our assets according to state law, and then we'll never see each other again. Jake, please. Emily, stop. It's over. It's been over since the moment you decided I wasn't enough for you. She stood up slowly. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. Emily gathered her boxes and left without another word. I watched from the window as she loaded them into her car, and then she was gone. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. "How are you doing?" "Better than expected," I typed back. And I was. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The apartment was quiet, but it was a peaceful quiet, not the tense silence that had characterized my marriage for the past year. I made dinner for one and watched the sunset from my balcony. Tomorrow, I would start over. New job with Marissa's company, new apartment, new life. Emily Harper and Brandon Hunt had learned that betrayal comes with a price. They'd lost their jobs, their reputations, their futures. Emily would have to explain her firing to every potential employer. Brandon faced criminal charges and financial ruin. But more than that, they'd lost themselves. They'd become the kind of people who lie and cheat and betray the people who trust them. They'd have to live with that knowledge for the rest of their lives. As for me, I'd learned that I was stronger than I thought, smarter than my enemies assumed, and capable of more than I'd ever imagined. Emily had called me distant, unobservant, someone who didn't notice when she wasn't there. She'd been wrong about that too. I noticed everything. I just chose my battles carefully. And when I finally decided to fight, I made sure I won. 6 months later, I ran into Emily at a coffee shop downtown. She was working as a receptionist at a small firm, her career in marketing effectively over. She looked older, worn down by the consequences of her choices. "Jake," she said quietly, "how are you?" "I'm good, Emily. Really good." And I was. Marissa's company was thriving, partly due to the publicity from the scandal. Turns out, people liked doing business with someone who'd publicly destroyed a cheating husband. It suggested a certain commitment to accountability. Emily nodded. "I heard about your new job. I'm glad things worked out for you." "They did. What about you? How are you doing?" "I'm managing. It's been hard, but I'm managing." We stood there for a moment, two people who used to share everything, now strangers. "Emily," I said finally, "I hope you find what you're looking for." "I already found it," she said quietly. "I just didn't realize what I had until it was gone." I left her standing there and walked back to my new life, my new apartment, my new future. Emily Harper had taught me an important lesson. Trust is earned, love is a choice, and betrayal is a luxury that some people can't afford. Brandon Hunt learned the same lesson, though his education cost him considerably more. His wife took him for everything in the divorce. His criminal trial made national news, and his name became synonymous with corporate fraud and marital betrayal. The last I heard, he was working at a car dealership in another state, trying to rebuild his life under a cloud of scandal that would follow him forever. As for me, I kept Tyler's photos in a safety deposit box, along with all the evidence of Emily's affair. Not because I planned to use them again, but because they reminded me of an important truth. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad or getting even. Sometimes the best revenge is simply making sure the truth comes to light. Emily and Brandon had gambled that they could lie and cheat and betray without consequences. They'd lost that bet spectacularly, and the price they paid would follow them for the rest of their lives. I'd given them exactly what they deserved. The truth, delivered at exactly the right moment, to exactly the right people, in exactly the right way. It had been the most satisfying project of my career,